We're talking Canberra. 2CC, we're talking Canberra.
A 2CC Tim Shaw podcast.
I'm pleased to say that Dr. Chris Bourke is the Minister for Children and Young People here in the ACT. He's across the commentary that Mr Oakey, the grandfather of Jakob Oakey, has just told us. He's on the line now. Dr. Bourke, good morning.
Good morning, Tim.
We're not getting transparency and straight answers from the ACT government, according to Jakob Oakey's grandfather, Alan Oakey. What do you say to that?
Look, I'd say at the outset that any child's death is a tragic occurrence. It shocks and saddens both families and the community, and I know that from my own family's experience. What I would say is that it's very important to understand why we have secrecy provisions around caring for children and young people. It's because it's vitally important to protect the privacy and personal circumstances of those children.
Minister, Jakob is dead. Jakob is dead, Minister. His grandfather will not accept, and nor will this program, the inability of the... That is not acceptable. That is not acceptable. Chris, Minister,
Tim,
you have a responsibility to communicate with the members of the family. We have a grieving mother. We have a grieving grandfather and grandmother.
Tim,
they have had nothing but barriers from the ACT government.
Tim,
privacy for Jakob has gone, Minister. It's in the public domain. What do you want to say to Mr Oakey and his family?
As I was saying, Tim, if you were aware of the circumstances of families in these situations, you would be aware that there are always invariably other children whose privacy and personal circumstances need to be protected by the privacy provisions of the Children and Young People's Act. It is not simply possible to breach that act without hurting and harming other people.
Mr Oakey is in receipt. Mr Oakey's in receipt of documents that they've received under Freedom of Information. His statement to me this morning is clear, that the ACT government has redacted those documents to such an extent that they can't even see clarity, and they are the direct family members. Sir, what are you going to do about it? Mr Oakey demands answers, expects answers, and deserves answers. His daughter is devastated. What are you going to do as the responsible minister?
No child, as I said, Tim, wants its family circumstances discussed in the media, and I'm very clear about that.
That is unacceptable, Minister. It is in the public domain. It has appeared on ABC television in an extensive documentary. Mr Oakey has contacted this program. Mr Oakey is Jakob's grandfather. What are you going to do today? What are you going to do today?
Tim, you are only hearing one side.
What are you going to do today to a grieving family here in the ACT, Minister?
As I said, Tim, child deaths are a tragedy. I know that from my own family experience. And what I'm also telling you is that the integrity of our child protection service, of the circumstances...
That is unacceptable, sir. The child is dead. The child is dead. The family are demanding answers. Your government has redacted those documents to such an extent that Mr Oakey can't even see the woods for the trees. Have you spoken directly to Mr Oakey?
There has been considerable correspondence.
Have you spoken directly to Mr Oakey?
Office. There is and I think one of the things that you're losing sight of...
I'm not losing sight of anything. We have a dead child that was the responsibility of the ACT government. You are hiding behind bureaucracy. Shine the light.
And you know that.
Shine the light on this and open the door, Minister. The child is dead. The family are demanding answers. Will you give a commitment on this program now that this matter will be on the agenda for the last cabinet meeting of this government before you go into election mode?
Thank you, Tim. And of course, the final cabinet meeting for the ACT government prior to the election is today, and
yes.
I will be providing with cabinet with an update on the progress of issues, support structures and oversight mechanisms operating in the child protection space. You must remember also that we're 18 months into our $16 million 5-year step up for our kids reforms, which is of course supported by Cabinet. You'll also recall that there was $2.47 million in the current budget to improve oversight and quality assurance in child protection.
Sir, don't tell me. Tell Mr Oakey. You go to that Cabinet meeting, you speak to your Cabinet, and then I would strongly urge you to speak to Mr Oakey. Thank you for your time, Minister. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm sorry that... but by the way, Tim, it's also Child Protection Week.
Yes, I know. I've noted that.